I'm here in the majestic West Highlands of Scotland on the shores of Loch Fyne at the extraordinary Inverara Castle, the seat of Clan Campbell and the home to the Dukes of Argyll. In fact, the Duke and his family still live here today. I'll be exploring the history, chatting with the family, and diving into those archives. When I married into the British aristocracy, it was the start of a wonderfully exciting journey. But it was also a little daunting. I became a Viscountess, and for an American girl from a small town outside Chicago, that was quite a shock. I live with my husband Luke, heir to the Earl of Sandwich, and our family at Mapperton House in Dorset. Living in a place like this is a joy, but also a challenge. And every day we're aware that we're preserving a very special part of Britain's heritage. Mapperton has opened up an extraordinary new world for me, and I can't wait to share it with you all. So if you love castles and manors and stately homes as much as I do, please join this American Viscountess as I journey into the British countryside in search of some of Britain's finest historic houses. The beauty of Inverara is mesmerizing. The castle was rebuilt in the mid-18th century and is the epitome of a fairy tale castle with its turrets and crenellations. It is so great to be back and spend time with Torquil and Eleanor, the Duke and Duchess of Argyll. Hello.
Hi, Judy.
I'm
How are you?
running to greet you.
Lovely to see you.
So
welcome,
nice.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
I know. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, it's lovely to have you.
Again.
5 years
Again.
later.
The last time I was here, the sun shone as well. So, you know, does it
always shine.
really rain here? I don't think
Never,
so.
never. Well, it wouldn't be so green if it didn't. But it's just...
No, it's a good day. Welcome.
Yeah, no,
Hey, come on
I'm
in.
so pleased to be here. Gosh, and I remember this kitchen. I remember it all so well. You know, this is a real destination for Americans like me, let's be honest, because how many Campbells are there in America?
Well, in America, I mean, I couldn't say in America alone, but I mean, globally, we are about 14 million.
14 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that is unbelievable.
And that's probably an underestimate.
Do you have a lot of people coming wanting to find out more about their own heritage?
Our business is really
lot of
international. It's not so British anymore.
Yeah.
It's always been a bit British and a lot international, but I would say it's way more international now.
And are you both recognized? I have to ask that. You know, when you go out, because it's Clan Campbell, you know, you are the head of the clan, you know, you're the Duke and Duchess of Argyll. You've been running this for how many years have you been the custodians
So we
here?
inherited
23 years.
I mean, that's a good tenure.
So Torquil's father died unexpectedly just as we were getting engaged. So we were meant to be going to go and live in Hong Kong with his job, and then actually the world turned upside down. So we took on here straight away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was, well, we got married in 2002, but my father died in 2001.
Oh my goodness.
So the first thing we did as a married couple, we got married in a church in Gloucestershire. The second ring went on, we got in the car to drive to the reception, and we signed off the guidebook, which we'd been working on while we were engaged, but he was too scared to say yes to have many thousands, just in case I changed my mind at the altar.
Just in case the photograph on the front page is like, you know.
And in those days, they weren't so much digital copies, were they? So you had to order thousands and thousands.
of course,
I can't remember how many thousands we ordered.
But also the guidebooks are the biggest sellers.
Yes,
we know this from the shop.
So the first thing we did, I thought, no, this is the beginning of the rest of my life, isn't it? We got in the car and he was like, right, now we can sign off the guidebook. Really?
No.
That's true love.
That is
Well,
brilliant.
you've got to look after the pennies.
Yeah, no, exactly. I have been filming at one historic house to the next, so there's been lots of travel up north, not much sleep for me, and my dry skin has really taken a hit. But I need to be camera ready no matter what, so say hello to my secret weapon, the incredible UFO 3 by Foreo Sweden, who's proudly sponsoring this video. And let me tell you that since I've incorporated the UFO3 into my routine, the transformation in my skin has been nothing short of incredible. And dealing with dry skin has always been a challenge for me, but thanks to the UFO3, the hydration my skin receives is unbelievable, and it lasts from one scene to the next. Now, what sets the UFO3 apart is its cutting edge technology. It is not just a skincare device, everybody. It's like having 5 anti-aging spa facials in the palm of your hand, and all it takes to get camera ready is just 2 minutes. So right now, I'm going to choose the Glow Addict. It's enhanced brightening, and it's packed with vitamin E, C, and jojoba oil. It is the ultimate hydrating boost my skin needs right now to get through the day of filming. And at night, by the way, I settle down with a Call It a Night mask with ginseng and olive oil. And the UFO3's usability is incredibly simple. You can follow a preset routine on the app, or just access treatments with the push of a button like me. So personally, I opt for the easy mode, no app needed, and boom, I'm ready to go. It feels amazing, and I have a special treat for you, my viewers. The UFO3 is rarely discounted, but through the link in the description box, you're gonna get an exclusive 30% off, plus an additional 10% for just the first 50 people. So be one of those using the coupon code 10American, and trust me, this is an opportunity you do not want to miss. The UFO3 is not just a skincare device. I promise you, it is my secret weapon for looking and feeling good all day long.
Come on in.
Ooh, I didn't see this the last time. I'm in the private drawing room, is that right?
The private, the yellow drawing room.
Yellow drawing room.
Okay, couple of questions. Wow.
That's me when I was 18. So my father had me painted by Howard Morgan because he thought I was going to leave him and marry Torquil when I was 18, 19. And then when we finally got married 10 years later, he was so happy that I think he just gave me the picture.
But he did insist that's exactly where it should hang. And if we didn't want to hang it there, he wasn't going to give it to us.
But your outfit's fantastic.
It's amazing.
As well.
It's a red silk skirt with embroidery all over it. It's stunning, Chinese silk.
You still got it?
I've still got it. I don't think it fits anymore. So.
Okay, so
Three
can I grab a spot there then?
Yes, on Torquil's mother's tapestry stool.
It's quite beautiful.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's
So
amazing.
Torquil's mother was a fantastic tatist? I don't know what the word is. So we had a really bad fire in the 70s.
Yeah, so tell me
and then
about
after that, there was really no money to spend anywhere. So she was amazing at getting hold of the tapestries and actually fixing them herself.
Incredible. So tell me a little bit about that fire, because that sort of made international news when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big one. So it was the 5th of November, 1975.
5th of November.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which to a British person is a big day.
It's a big date.
Guy Fawkes,
right.
yeah. Guy Fawkes.
It happened 5th of November.
It started probably at sort of 4, 5 o'clock, and it was an electrical fault in a cupboard upstairs. And it went up a void where all the fire hydrants, the fire hoses go up, and it ended up on the top floor of the castle and burnt the top floor. But the real damage was, obviously was the fire, but the real damage was the water they put on top of it to put it out, which then came down through all the ceilings. And
oh my gosh.
So it was a big event, and the town turned up to help take the things out.
Because was somebody staying in the castle at the time?
Yeah, so it was my mother and myself.
And you were 5?
I was seven.
Okay.
So you remember this?
No, I do, yeah, very much so. I kind of sort of remember being sort of taken out of the house pretty quickly. There was a lot going on. My father was away on business. But I remember, being at the town bonfire, and all the people were there. Instead of people looking at the bonfire and the fireworks display, they were looking at the castle, which was just, fully ablaze.
Oh my gosh.
And it was pretty.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't remember the nitty-gritty bits and pieces of it, but there were explosions going on in the castle, and everyone was watching that because it was dark in the evening, and that was the biggest bonfire around.
Wow.
But the town were amazing. So the town basically all ran up, and people were chucking Gainsboroughs and tapestries and beautiful bits of furniture. People were so brave.
You see pictures of people walking out into the car park at the front with sort of pictures, books, furniture.
Right.
No, I mean they were amazing. I mean, and if it wasn't for all their help,
right,
we would have lost a lot more.
Yeah. No, of course.
Or a lot more would have been very badly damaged.
Right. So that was the top floor, and then of course the water damage came through. Yeah. So then what was the the restoration process? Like when did that begin? So you had to move out of the castle?
So we moved out of the castle. I remember, straight after going to go and stay with my grandparents on Loch Lomond.
Right.
It's about an hour away from
Yeah, so that was definitely for a period of months. I went to the local school there. Then we moved back into a cottage up one of the glens.
Okay.
And we were there for probably a year or so.
Right.
And then we actually moved back into the basement of the castle.
Oh my
and we lived in the basement for a couple of years. So
yeah.
It took about 5 years to restore it.
Of course.
And it was a huge project.
What about archives? Were you, because where we are at Mapperton, we hold the archives in the main house, in the muniment room. Were the archives saved? Were they?
Yeah, they were. The archives, were all stored in the castle. They were all saved. Again, a lot of them were damaged.
Right.
And then after the fire, they moved up to some libraries that we had constructed on the top floor. And then my wife and I did a sort of restoration stroke, sort of install central heating program, sort of 15 years ago.
Okay.
And then we moved the archives then from the top floor of the castle to a sort of purpose-built archive at the estate office, which they're now housed and looked after, temperature controlled, humidity controlled.
All of that.
The things that should, the way they should be looked after.
Yeah. That's wonderful. So that's been a big project for you.
So that was a big project. Yeah.
But you've been here for 23 years. I can't believe it. You're so young. You've been here for 23 years.
So
23 years. And obviously you've done a lot. You've just mentioned one of sort of the big projects. But do you feel, in your tenure so far, the 23 years that you've done, that you've been able to really put a mark on this place? And you just mentioned one of them, which I'm going to go visit.
You talk to people and do you run the place like your father did? And the answer is no.
Right.
Because what was relevant, he did a very good job, but what was relevant to him is not relevant to me. And what is relevant to me is not relevant to my son.
Yeah.
But just in the time that we've been here, what was relevant 20 years ago is not necessarily relevant today. We are constantly changing.
Yeah.
The way that we do things.
Yes, exactly. I wanted to ask, because I've read that the castle opened up to the public in 1953, and that was quite extraordinary and one of the first, is that right? Very early on. But it was after the Second World War. They're all, many of these homeowners were thinking, what do we do? Because taxes that were levied on them, they arrived back in houses after they were requisitioned for the war. They weren't in a great state. And you must have been one of the first houses to open up, is that right? And how did that come about?
You're right, we opened up in 1953, the same year as the coronation.
Yes, of course.
And in Inverara, you're talking about the war and the effects of the war. And Inverara was a really, really important part for the Second World War because we did the trainings for the Normandy landings. D-Day landings all happened here.
So 200,000 people.
250,000 troops were trained here.
Oh my goodness.
So they reckon sort of 90% of the people that ended up in the beaches in Normandy had spent probably 2 weeks training here before they went. So that, the whole place was, was a war camp. Played a huge part. And, my grandfather was, obviously desperate to, get the estate back up on its feet.
Yeah.
And find some way of looking after it, caring for it. And he was the one that opened the doors to.
Right, and his name was?
And he was Ian.
Ian.
Big Ian. Sturges' father was
Little Ian.
Little Ian. Campbell's have a narrow amount of names that they choose.
Well, I have a different one, so.
Right. So luckily you're not Ian, because then it would have gotten
really
confusing.
I'm Talkwell Ian.
I'm
Talkwell Ian.
So Ian opened it up, and he reminds me, because I've gone through a little bit of my archives at Mapperton, and we are related-ish through that Ian, the one who opened up in 1953. Can I explain how?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Through my research, I'm researching my husband's great-grandmother, Alberta Sturges Montagu, who was an American like me, from Chicago like me, came over during that Gilded Age period when Consuelo Vanderbilt came over as well. She married into the Montagu family, eventually became the 9th Countess of Sandwich. And interestingly enough, she had 4 children. Her second son was named Drogo, which is our big Montagu name. Her second son married for the second time Janet Aikens.
Who was Torquil's grandfather's first wife.
First
So he was
wife.
married
There we go.
4 times, but the first wife was Janet.
There we go. So Ian's first wife, Janet, they divorced, and she married Alberta, my husband's great-grandmother, the 9th Countess of Sandwich, her second son. So can we say that?
Well, exactly. I mean,
So Torquil's aunt, did they have children? Yes.
Yes, they had one.
They had one. And Torquil's aunt, Jeannie,
Yes,
so they would have been halves.
they would have been half.
halves, yeah.
Yeah. I'm always trying to find connections with the other historic houses that I visit to see if there is one. And there was that connection, so I thought there must be letters. But I thought this would be really interesting for the both of you. So this is on Inverara Castle, Argyll, letterhead.
I have the same writing paper now, almost identical.
Do you?
Yeah. It's now got a telephone number on it, but
So
yeah.
it has a telephone.
The writing, the writing
But
is
no
still
one
the
uses
same.
a landline, but it still has a telephone
in the
number.
modern world. Not an email address.
I'll do that next time. Next time I read you the writing paper.
Exactly. So she's written this. She's visiting. She's staying here at Inverara on October 7th, 1920. And she's writing it to her husband, George. So George isn't here. And she basically says, darling, this is to keep you in touch. And so a little bit of sort of pleasantries at the beginning. And then she says, the young heir, age 16, Ian Campbell, whose American mother, a Miss Lawrence, died 6 months ago, is the best type of English American I know. Speaking of Ian. And she says, a perfect dear. Oh, I hope Hinch was her firstborn son, they called him Hinch, but Victor, turns out like him, such a darling, so companionable. And he has only been here 3 months, and every man, woman, and child about here just adores him. This is your
Wow.
great-grandfather. So I thought that was really interesting. And then she goes on and she says, I love the relationship between the townspeople and the Campbells. So very nice. And then she signs off. So I just thought that was...
So that's your grandfather when he was...
That's your grandfather.
That was
sorry,
my
yes.
grandfather.
Grandfather Ian, when he was 16.
Yeah.
And then he
He had an American mother.
had an American mother. I don't think I knew that. And then his third wife had grown up in America.
Yep. Margaret Wigham.
The scandalous one.
The scandal,
Scandalous
what
one.
was filmed here? I watched that.
A
British scandal.
Very
British
British,
scandal.
a very British scandal.
So I loved it.
It was
You
really
looked
good.
at his family and thought, ooh.
I know, but I loved it.
It was very well
It
done,
was
wasn't it?
so well
Claire
done.
Foy and Paul Bettany. It was brilliant.
I mean, the two perfect actors for that. I mean, they cast them perfectly.
But that's the
Yeah.
same Ian you're talking about. So that's
Yes.
Ian, age
Yes.
16. But he, poor guy, then goes into the war as a prisoner of war, and he's an alcoholic. So I think, poor man, he comes out a
Right.
very damaged man
Right.
after the war. And that's the Ian in A Very British Scandal, as opposed to the charming young man
Charming young
who's
man here.
16. Yeah.
So Margaret was his number, what wife then?
Third wife.
Third. Okay. Oh my goodness. So was she here then? So he met her after the Second World War. Was she here when the house was open
She
to
was
public
the
in 53?
she was the driving force, I think, behind it.
Right.
And she did a lot to help restore the castle.
Okay.
Put a lot of money into it.
Right.
And brought it back up to
To-
a livable standard. It was something that she wanted to live in.
Right.
She puts in bathrooms and plumbing and
Right.
fixes holes, and she's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if she was. I think she, obviously, it was quite a scandalous marriage.
Yeah. of
Not
course.
good for
But
the family, but
she
Right,
had a
right,
very
exactly.
she had a very
perfect.
positive impact
Right.
on things here. So
How?
she certainly left her mark behind.
Yeah, I mean, we're still talking about her today, and then they've just created that film. And and same with your grandfather, Ian. I mean, he's in letters here. He's, married 4 times, had an American mother, was charming when he was 16, according to Alberta.
And I think he was charming as well later on, but I think he was very damaged. And I think they were a toxic combination, Margaret Argyll and him.
Right.
I think they'd married for all the wrong reasons. He wanted the money, she wanted a title. He was very damaged from the war. I think she'd obviously quite damaged from falling down that lift shaft.
Yes,
And they
yes.
were just this toxic
Relationship.
combination.
I mean, he'd spent the whole of the Second World War in a prisoner of war camp.
So
He
of
came
course
out
it's
weighing 6 stone or something.
Right,
terrifying.
psychologically, of course that's going to
Yeah.
have its effects on you, absolutely. Well, what I have here, and I'm sure you have lots of letters written by Ian himself, but I have another letter that was in our archives, written by Ian to Alberta, the 9th Countess of Sandwich, and this again is shortly after her visit here. He writes, in case you and George Alberta's husband, will be sufficiently benevolent as to give us an offering towards our bells, I am venturing to send you a list of our peal of 10 bells, from which you will see that no less than 8 of them have already been given. And so it is for the 2 large bells that we are gradually collecting. And then he carries on and says that my bell founders tell me that it will be the finest peal in Scotland when installed. He writes, our northern country is very deficient in peals of any kind, and there is nothing more lasting than bell metal, as 1,000 years is nothing in its life. And I thought that was really interesting. And then he goes on to say that they will bear the name and be dedicated to one of the old Celtic saints who in the 6th, 7th, and 8th centuries were the apostles of this ancient diocese. And someday, anyway, you shall hear them sounding all over the loch.
And you do.
Yeah.
They're
So they're
amazing.
here.
So they ring a lot.
Yeah, no,
they ring a lot. It's stunning.
This is back in the 1920s.
Yeah.
And I think they started building it in 1921.
Incredible.
And it took about 10 years to build, because they built the tower as well.
Can I visit these bells
you can,
on this
yeah.
tour of
Yeah,
Edinburgh?
well, I
that I'm
hope so.
Embarking on. I mean, how fascinating, though, that I've been able
That's amazing.
to find these letters. I feel a little bit a sense of a connection here, which is wonderful.
Well, I mean,
myself.
you put
Yeah.
you put the what's in your letters to actually see what he's talking
Yeah.
about is remarkable.
To see Edinburgh gleaming across the loch today, it's hard to imagine that devastating night in November 1975, when flames ripped through the upper levels of the castle so savagely, it seemed all was lost. But with the will and determination of the family and community, the castle was saved.
So go back to 5th of November 1975, and
Oh my goodness.
and
So what happened exactly? I
These-
mean, this is remnants from the fire,
that's
isn't it?
That's fire. This is all fire damage. Wow. So these are water hydrants that come from a loch up on one of the hills,
Okay,
and this is pressurized from the ground floor to the top floor.
okay.
And the fire started in my mother's clothes wardrobe, walk-in wardrobe,
Behind here.
behind there, and then went up this void and took out the top floor of the castle. So yeah, so that all that scorching and soot is
From it.
from the fire.
Incredible.
You know, if it's not broken,
Yeah, no.
make it work.
Exactly. No, and it tells a story.
It does,
I mean,
very
that's
much
what's
so.
so brilliant. I can come in here and see this, and you can tell
So
me the
exactly.
story.
So the voids, it's just the height where the hydrant. It's all the heat and the smoke
Yeah.
out there.
Oh
and-
yeah.
and-
Oh yeah. I
and
can see it. Wow. Oh
set
my
Set
goodness.
fire to the roof.
So it just went whoosh.
Just went whoosh.
But what started the fire?
Electrical fault.
Electric fault.
Old
Right.
wiring.
Old wiring. Right. Usually is the case.
So anyway, so we'll head up to the attic. Anyway, so come in here. This takes us up to the top floor of the castle.
Wow. Okay, so can I ask, this staircase, this would have been used for who?
These are the old servant staircases, and they start
What?
on the basement of the castle, and there's a door on each floor.
No.
So you could obviously appear with whatever you needed at the time, or so you wouldn't have to use the main staircases and stuff like that, and be with the guests or
Right.
the then Duke. So you just disappear up these spiral staircases all the way up to the top.
All the way up to the top.
In 1953, when the castle was opened,
Right.
my grandmother and step-grandmother had about 50 staff living in the castle. And they were all living on this floor. So actually the whole of the top floor was bedrooms, staff quarters.
Staff, 50
And they
staff.
would use these stairs. And then, in the fire, there was obviously lots of damaged stuff, and we didn't know what to do with it,
No.
where to put it. So, it just sits in these rooms under wraps. Someday somebody will want something, will look for something.
Incredible. Okay, so tell me a little bit more. We've just looked where the fire started, really from your mother's closet because of an electrical fault. It came through and then went
straight up, went all the way around the whole of the top floor of the castle.
And this is where bedrooms were.
And this was all staff
bedrooms.
And then, you've seen, you saw the same situation with Notre Dame in Paris.
Yes.
you know, when they want to go and repair old buildings like this, there is a shortage of what you'd call seasoned oak.
Right.
To make the beams and stuff to hold these big houses up. So actually, because there was none at the time, my father put in a steel roof.
Okay.
So actually, you know, fingers crossed, it's done a very good job. It's going to be here for a long time. We don't have the same problems that we'd have, you know, had we, you know, got a wooden roof.
Exactly. And as the fire destroyed, obviously the bedrooms that were up here, of course we don't have 50 staff anymore living here at all. It's just our families. But you just use this as storage.
So we use it as storage.
Which
we
is
use
great.
it as storage. This was jam-packed full of stuff, you know, during COVID. And my wife got up here and we carted all, you know, a lot of the rubbish out and sorted lots of stuff out.
Oh my gosh.
But you know, the archives are slowly being taken away bit by bit to be taken over to the office so they can go through them.
No. This is incredible.
But you know, if you can't find something or there's a bit of something missing, you tend to look up in these rooms and you'll find, you know.
But look at this screen.
But, you know, that's all, you know,
that's
all,
from the fire.
All fire damaged.
Look at that. And it's
you know, bits of chairs that are part of them are burnt, and then you know you can suddenly find another chair, and you can restore it by putting the two together.
Lots of brown this is
furniture,
lots of brown furniture. Let's go we like brown furniture. We just have too much of it, I think.
You know, old picture frames.
Look at this.
Like, you know, one day you know, maybe when I'm painted, I want a big picture frame.
Are you not painted yet?
I haven't been done yet, no.
It's okay. I'm in the same boat. I haven't been painted either.
But then, you know, there's so much of this sort of furniture that, you know, a lot of it was custom made for the castle, but it just, you know, it doesn't work anymore.
Well, and also, do you think the difference is because the castle is really open up to the public, you've got to be careful on how you curate kind of what goes in each room?
Do you know, pre-1975, we would have been able to have a rotation of pictures and furniture.
Right.
Post-1975, what you see is what we've got.
Right.
So this would, a lot of storage would have been up here.
Yeah, yeah.
But of course, it is no longer. So
yeah.
I'm going to take you upstairs to the roof.
Okay, here we go. Wow.
Then just watch your feet as you come out.
Yep. Be careful of that. Thank you. Right. Perfect. Okay, excellent.
So welcome to the roof.
And the turrets there.
So during the restoration of the castle, my father had he had an exhibition of the fire downstairs.
Right.
And you could buy slates. So a lot of the slates actually have been signed by people who donated £5, £10 for a slate.
That is clever. That's amazing. In order to help raise the money for the restoration. Wonderful. That is a very clever idea.
You know, you're at the top of the armory hall here.
Can I walk on this lead? It's a lead roof, yes.
So the coat of arms up there is what you see from downstairs, and that's 21 meters off the ground.
Oh my gosh! Wow! And I can see the visitors coming in.
If you stand up here, you can see.
Yep, all the visitors.
So one of my favourite games with my sister and friends when we were children is we'd put one of us either side, and then we'd be banging on the window so people would look out and then we'd go, oh! Just sort of fall backwards. And you think, oh my God, somebody's fallen off the roof.
That is so brilliant. On our way back down from the roof, we found some more family treasures.
Things that we can't store in the rooms get stuck in the corridors, but
right.
My wife was always asking for new cupboards to be put out so she can store things.
Look at this.
You know, there you go. And you've probably seen all proper prams, but
wow! Look at it. Has your.
That was so. When I was born, I was the Earl of Campbell.
I see.
So that's an Earl's coronet and a C for Campbell.
Yes. I did spot the Earl's coronet. I knew that because you can see facing the five bubbles.
That would have been me going for walks with my nanny around Hyde Park or whatever it was.
Did any of your boys or girl go in here?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. No, they've all used it.
They've all used it. Fantastic.
You know, we had all the leather work was done, so it's nicely, you know. You have to get a carriage maker to do it, don't you?
It's beautiful. So these are the cupboards that Eleanor just, I get this. This is a good idea.
She always wants things. So there you go. You've got a bit of. You've got sort of.
You've got Santa.
Father Christmas outfits.
Yep. You've got your kilts or a kilt.
Okay, look, there you go. She'll kill me for this. But there's the skirt from her portrait.
From portrait. No, it's so beautiful. Oh my goodness.
She'll kill me for that one.
No, and it's in such great condition. That's so exciting.
You run out of storage space and you just go find another cupboard.
And I know that I think probably for a lot of people thinking, well, how can they run out of storage space? They're in this sort of castle. But I get it. It's because we open up so many rooms to the public.
And you can't. Everything's got to be in the right place in the right room, and you can't have the wrong things.
Exactly. So that's clever. I might get a couple of these and stick them in a corridor.
I put that one out the other day because she needed some more space, but it's missing the top. But,
right.
It's still a cupboard.
It's still a cupboard. It works just fine. It's brilliant. That is so good. The archives at Inverara are now held in a purpose-built, temperature-controlled location away from the castle itself. I couldn't wait to meet archivist Alison Diamond again to hear more about how the archives were saved from the fire. Hello.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you again. This is my dream space. Alison, I mean, the last time I saw you was, again, about 5 years ago, and we were looking through some archives here as well, but it's all coming back to me about what a brilliant space this is.
It is, it's fabulous. So this was all originally in the castle.
Up at the top, is that right? They were stored.
They were in the basement originally.
Right.
Which is actually what saved them, because when the fire came, it was the roof that went.
Yes.
So it was, if the archive had been in the roof, they would have gone too.
Yes,
but luckily, they were down in the vaults.
Okay.
So we do have some pictures.
Do you?
To have a look, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And this is the archives having been rescued. Now, I'm not quite sure where they are in this picture.
Okay.
It could be under the temporary roof, or that might be one of the estate buildings out at the Moatlands.
Okay. So they were able to, luckily they were in the basement, as you said.
So some things got damaged by water and smoke. Yeah. In fact, some of them are still quite black if you look at them.
Oh my goodness.
That is still there. But they did manage to rescue quite a lot.
Right.
So it is amazing how much we have given.
Incredible, but just to see them all lying out, just waiting to be looked at to see what the damage was. And oh my goodness, so this...
Yeah, so this is the fire while it's burning.
Oh,
so
gosh, it gives you chills.
And these are some of the rescue photos.
And this looks like it's sort of in the wee mornings or late because it's dark. So
they're actually probably, the firemen will still be on site.
Right.
But they were just moving things out as quickly as possible. And these are some of the items just sort of waiting to be rescued.
But also look at the
fire hoses.
The fire hoses right there.
And here we've got sort of pictures coming out.
You've got the gilt frames, the pictures, the sofas. Look at they're hoisting up a couple of the chairs, and again, middle of the night.
Mm-hmm. And obviously it carries on into the morning.
Into the morning. They're still carrying things out.
So these are all from that period, just after the fire. And I presume that they're numbered, so I presume these were evidence of damage and probably the start of drawing up the plans to work out
how
to rebuild.
So that's why they put such big numbers on them.
So you would need to know, because obviously every sort of little window would probably look very similar, particularly when everything was burnt down around it.
Wow.
So.
Oh my goodness. And I was just walking up across these attics with Torquil looking at, which is, now it's used for storage. But this is a serious fire.
It is. There was not much roof left.
To see these photographs, it's amazing that so much was salvaged from the flames.
Being here in this room, you just have so much archives, content everywhere.
Yes.
How do you sort of prioritize.
The main thing is to try and get it to a stage where it's all catalogued.
Okay,
so at the
yes.
moment we know what we've got and we know where to find it, but we can't share that with other people because it's all in different documents and spreadsheets and things like that.
Right, right.
So that's one side of what we're doing.
Yep.
The other side is we have lots of documents that have been damaged in the past. Sometimes it's just age, sometimes it's because they've been through a fire or they've got wet, or and we're trying to come up with ways to enable those to be conserved.
Right.
So that we can keep them for another few hundred years.
Yes, yes.
So we've got a new project that we call Adopt a Document, and what we do is we prioritise the individual documents that are most in need of conservation treatment, and then we advertise those to friends and supporters, and we tell them how much it's going to cost for the conservator to actually deal with the document, and then they give us the money towards that. I can show you. I've got some of the documents.
Yes. This is going to be great because this might be something that I might adopt myself. We have lots of Earl of Sandwich documents that have been water damaged. Paper has been torn. You know, it has lots of fox spots on it. And I know you can't necessarily always get the fox spots out, but
sadly
you can't, but they need some conservation. Oh my goodness.
So this particular document, this was its original packaging. It was folded up in this envelope.
Okay.
And it's a discharge from 1413. So it's, you know, it's fairly historic.
Wow.
So it's gone to the conservator.
No.
He has. So he's flattened it out and he's built it its own little case. And like you said about the foxing, you can't remove every stain on it. You can't fill in the holes.
Right.
But you can put it in a position where it's going to be preserved for the future.
Oh my gosh. This is incredible.
Yeah.
This is everything I've ever wanted to know. I have so many of these. Not so many, but I mean a good handful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I had no idea. I mean, I wasn't going to conserve them myself. That's beyond my expertise. With this, you've sent it out to a proper, somebody who has that skill.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
So that was one with a seal.
That is amazing.
That we did.
That is amazing.
But do you know what's really lovely is you send out these little bits of parchment that are folded up, dirty.
Yep, I have them.
Manky.
Yep.
And then they come back like this, and it's like, oh.
And what about like bigger ones? Are there bigger boxes for that?
Yes, the boxes are made to the size. This is a flat one, so this one didn't need any depth for a seal because it doesn't have a seal.
Okay.
But again, it's got the little book plate. So this is actually the charter from King James that founded the borough of Inverera back in 1474.
Oh my goodness.
Again, it's still got lots of holes.
Right.
But at least somebody can look at it and read.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you, of course, what you're trying to do is you're trying to stabilize.
Yeah.
You're not trying to repair it.
No.
You're just looking to stabilize it so it can survive for the next several hundred years. That is exquisite. It's unbelievable. And then this person adopted.
So this is actually a company of solicitors in Edinburgh who have supported all of our adoption schemes so far, so that's brilliant.
What's really fascinating is that not only are these amazing documents being stabilized and then preserved for future generations, but it's involving the community, getting people involved and making them feel as if, and they are very much a part of this entire process. And that's wonderful. And that's what I hope to do with my volunteering project as well, that we've recently just won the National Archives Volunteering Award, and because it was this sort of using, in one sense, technology in order to reach women around the world who were interested in our American Heiress project but couldn't be here physically.
Yes.
We're able to digitize, send out, and it's really fostered amazing friendships and connections, and they've even met each other, even though they're in sort of different parts of the world. They've planned to get together. They send me pictures of them having high tea at Brown's, and that's what I think archives, when I come in here and I see you kind of here looking at the archives themselves, you and the archives, it's much more than that, than a document. It involves community, it involves the Friends of Inverera. So it's a much bigger picture of fostering a connection back to this place.
It is. It's brilliant, and we have an amazing group of people who support the archive.
That
is fantastic.
Really incredible. What a treat to see this. I mean, wow. Thank you so much. Highlight of my day, absolutely.
You're very welcome.
As I continue my visit to Inverary Castle, I'll be exploring the exquisite interiors of the castle with Torquil and Eleanor. And I return to the archives to see some of the decorative designs for the castle in the 18th century.